Dear students of class 10. So today we will continue that text, Nelson Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom. We will read the second part today. So basically the theme of this particular text that I think you have understood is the conflict between black and white. Means who were black? Black means the indigenous people, okay, the original residents of South Africa, okay, and whites mean the colonizers, those who came from outside and set up their colonies, right, and then they stayed there. So, and then they set up one apartheid government, right? So that is the racial discrimination, in terms of color of the skin. So, and Nelson Mandela was the mouthpiece of that party, right? African National Congress, and he fought against them. And then his party won the majority and set up the government, right? So he gave, he delivered rather, his inaugural speech. There he mentioned everything. Now we will continue this text. A few moments later, we all lifted our eyes in awe as a spectacular array of South African jets, helicopters, and troop carriers roared in perfect formation over the Union buildings. So, after that inaugural speech, sometimes later, after sometimes, we all lifted our eyes, means we all looked above, right? Lifted our eyes means looked at the sky in awe. Awe means surprise. AWE. Awe means surprise. Okay, amazement. Why? As a spectacular array of South African jets. What is spectacular? Spectacular array means that you can see the right side of your book that what? An impressive display means colorful and attractive. Spectacular. That is mind blowing, spectacular. Array means arrangement, order, right? So, an impressive display of. So, impressively, the arrangement of South African jets, right? Jets, jet planes, helicopters, and troop carriers. Troop means the soldiers. So, Air Force, rather. So, carriers roared in perfect formation. They roared means they were roaring in the sky, right? Means they are moving, they were making noise in the perfect formation. They're making kind of formation, means sometimes during Republic Day or Independence Day in India also you watch this kind of formation by our Indian Army, right, or other Indian Navy. So you in Indian Air Force also you see this kind of formation, right? So they are also showing this kind of formations in the sky, perfect formation over the Union buildings, right? It was not only a display of pinpoint precision and military force, but a demonstration of the military's loyalty to democracy. That was, so what? What is the meaning of this line? It was not only a display of pinpoint precision. What is pinpoint? Means exact. Precision means accuracy, right? Accurate. So, pinpoint accuracy, pinpoint precision, and military force. So, it was not only that, means, yes, in one hand, that was the exact accuracy of that South African military force. Means that was a show up of that military force, but a demonstration means showing the military's loyalty to democracy, means they were showing their loyalty. Loyalty means faithfulness, right? Faithfulness. They were faithful, right? Trustworthy to democracy. Democracy of South Africa. To a new government that had been freely and fairly elected. Freely, without any bondage, and fairly, without any corruption or problem. Fairly, clearly elected by the people, of the people, and for the people. That's why democracy. You know the definition of democracy, right? So, only months before, the highest generals of the South African Defence Force and Police, their chests bedecked with ribbons and medals from days gone by, saluted me and pledged their loyalty. Right? So, only moments before, the highest, so sometimes ago, the highest generals, right? So, means general is the rank in the army, or their means soldier, military force. So, highest generals, highest officer actually, and the South African Defence Force, right, and police, their chest bedecked with ribbons. Bedecked means decorated with, adorned with ribbons. So you know ribbons, and medals, various medals. So you during Republic Day and sometimes Independence Day, you see the officers, generals, right? Their chest is adorned with, right, various medals, ribbons, right, and those who means those who have participated in NCC or Scout and Guide, you have also means experienced kind of thing, watched this kind of things. So bedecked with, decorated with ribbons, medals from days gone by, means from past time, days gone by, the days that means were already past. So days gone by from past time means they own, or they got, that they were rewarded with medals for their work, right? So for their means well-being, or for their kind of influence, or what they have done, for that they got medals. So their chests were decorated, adorned with those medals, saluted me and pledged, promised their loyalty, their faithfulness to what? To this democracy, to this government, right? And this line is very important. Why? Because see the next line, I was not unmindful of the fact that not so many years before they would not have saluted but arrested me. So I was not unmindful, means I didn't forget. I was, or not unmindful means, you see the second side of the book, that I was not unmindful, that I was conscious of the fact that what? That not so many years before they would not have saluted but arrested me and put in the jail. Finally, what? A chevron of Impala jets left a smoke trail of the black, red, green, blue, and gold of the new South African flag. Finally, at last, a chevron means a pattern in the shape of a V, or zigzag pattern actually, right? So, of Impala jets, kind of jets, right, left a smoke. So smoke left, released smoke trail of the trail means from the tail of that Impala jets. They released, means those jets, Impala jets released kind of smoke, right? Jet planes released a kind of smoke, and the color of the smoke was, means were black, red, green, blue, and gold of the new South African flag. In India also during Republic Day and also Independence Day, you watch this kind of formation right, of Indian national flag by the Indian Air Force. So they release kind of smoke in the sky and they form many structures, right? So these are all demonstrations, right? Now the day was symbolized for me by the playing of our two national anthems and the vision of whites singing what? Kosi Sikli, right? N Kosi, N is silent, so Kosi Sikli, E Africa, and the black singing Die Stem. So two national anthems. Why? Because blacks for one for blacks, one for whites, right? So black skin people one, white skin people another. So Kosi Sikli and Kosi Sikli E Africa for the whites, and blacks, the black skin people, they were singing Die Stem, and that was the old anthem of the republic of that nation, Die Stem, right? Although that day neither group knew the lyrics of the anthem they once despised, they would soon know the words by heart. What is the meaning of this line? Means that day sometimes black people they were singing the lyrics of the white skin people, means the national anthem of them, and vis-a-vis means the whites were singing also the lyrics of the blacks. The mingling of these two skin people means sometime means some years ago the white skin people despised means that they hate, right? They used to hate, right? So disrespect rather, okay, hate, disrespect, despised, so had a very low opinion of, okay, means they used to hate this kind of anthem, but they were singing without knowing the meaning, without knowing the lyrics. They were just singing by listening the anthem, right? It shows the loyalty, the love, right? The mutual bonding, mutual love, right? Very meaningful. Now on the day of the inauguration I was overwhelmed with a sense of history. Overwhelmed, I was just means, sir, means extremely influenced, overwhelmed, influenced, right? So I was overwhelmed with a sense of history, sense of our history. I was overwhelmed, influenced, charmed, amazed with a sense of our history, history of South Africa. In the first decade of the 20th century, 20th century starts with 1900, okay, 1900, right? So first decade of 19th century, so first decade is, one decade means 10 years, so from 1900 to 1910, okay, so 1900 to 1910, that is the first decade of 19th century. A few years after the bitter Anglo-Boer War, Anglo-Boer War, so Anglo means English, Boer means Africa, so Anglo-Boer War, and before my own birth, before before the birth of Nelson Mandela, the white skinned people of South Africa, white skinned people of South Africa, they patched up means kind of they strengthened, okay, they solidified, what, patched up their differences, the difference between the black and white, and erected and set up a system of racial domination, that white people will dominate the black people, racial, okay, domination against the dark skinned peoples of their own land. Dark skinned people were the indigenous people, the actual original residents of South Africa, but whites, they set up, they solidified kind of system where they started to dominate, right, rule the dark skinned people, black skinned peoples. The structure they created formed the basis of one of the harshest, most inhumane societies the world has ever known. The structure, the system that they created formed the basis of one of the harshest, and the basis was the one of the harshest, severe, okay, cruelest, inhuman. Inhuman means cruel. So most inhuman, cruelest, okay, and harshest, the bad, worst, severe societies the world has ever known. So the characteristics of their system, okay, were marked by cruelty and harsh attitude. Now, in the last decade of the 20th century, last decade means from 1990 to 2000, that is the last decade. So 1994, that kind of election means took place. So 20th century, and my own 8 decade as a man, 8 decade, okay, the system had been overturned. That system was overturned, was changed, had been overturned, right, forever, not for once but forever, overturned. It was changed and replaced by one that recognized the rights and freedoms of all peoples, regardless of the color of the skin, and the new system is recognized by the rights and freedoms of all people, right? Rights, equal right, and freedom of all peoples, regardless of the color of the skin. So here lies the difference, that last system, or that government was, which was set up by the white skinned people, was marked by, okay, what, cruelty, right, harshness, so inhuman attitude. But this new government, it is marked by rights and freedoms of all peoples, regardless of the color of the skin. And that system, that apartheid system, was marked by what, that that was ruled, means that was ruled by the white peoples, and they ruled the black people. But here, regardless of the color of the skin, freedom for everyone. Everyone will now enjoy freedom, that liberty actually, right? That day had come about through the unimaginable sacrifices of thousands of my people. So now this day had come about through, there was a process, unimaginable, means you can't think, unthinkable, right? Unthinkable, you can't think, sacrifices, offerings of thousands of my peoples, means thousands of peoples sacrifice their life. Suffering and courage can never be counted or repaid. And these thousand people means the peoples who sacrifice their lives, you can't count, uncountable, right, and repaid. You cannot pay back the sufferings and the courage. I felt that. I felt that day, as I have on many other days, that I was simply the sum of all those African patriots who had gone before me. So I means Nelson Mandela felt that day, what, means as I have on so many other days, like other days, that I was the simple sum of, means he felt like other days that he was the sum of all those African patriots. Who are patriots? Means those who unconditionally loved nation, nationalist, right? Patriots who had gone before me, means his former patriots. That long and noble line ended and now began again with me, right? So that long and noble, they were great, that line ended and again now began with me, means that suffering problem now ended and now he is going to start a new chapter. I was pained that I was not able to thank them. I was pained and just feeling bad, just feeling pain that I was not able to thank them, congratulate them, that they were not able to see what their sacrifices had wrought. Why was he feeling bad that those patriots were not able to see what their noble sacrifices, rather not only sacrifice but noble sacrifices had wrought means achieved or done what, right? So means they sacrificed their lives and now those sacrifices brought this freedom this day, but they were not able to see that in this time. The policy of apartheid created a deep and lasting wound in my country and my people. The policy means the system, the way they ruled. So the policy of apartheid created a deep, right, profound and lasting, right? It is not temporary but permanent wound, kind of injury, right? Kind of injury, and a problem, and a mark, cut mark, right? So that is, or rather you can say trauma, right? So in my country and people, in the mind of my people, right, all of us will spend many years, if not generations, recovering from that profound hurt. Means he was saying that we have to spend many years, if not generations, one generation, right? So one generation of people recovering from that profound wound, profound hurt, profound wound, profound means deep heart cut mark, that trauma, that problem, means the system apartheid gave them kind of trauma, and he was thinking that they might need many years, right, to overcome that situation, right? But the decades of oppression and brutality had another unintended effect, and that was that it produced Oliver Tambo's, Walter Sisula's, then Chief Lithula's, the Yusuf Dados, the Bram Fishers, the Robert Sobukis of our time, men of such extraordinary courage, wisdom, and generosity that their like may never be known again. Okay, now, but the decades of oppression, decades means, so one decade means 10 years, so decades. So the time they ruled, that oppression, they oppressed, right? Means they oppressed in a very bad way, right? So the decades of oppression and brutality, right? Brutality. What do you mean brutality? Brutality means fierceness. Fierce, right? Brute. Brute means what? Kind of animal. So fierceness, had another unintended, right? Means that they did not intend to do, unintentionally, right? Effect. That was that it produced, it gave birth to the leaders like Oliver Tambo's. Okay, first you can see the picture also, Oliver Tambo. Okay, then Walter Sisoulas, right? Sisulus, Walter Sisoulas. The chief Lithulas or Luthulis. Okay, Lithulas actually. The Yusuf Dados, the Bram Fishers, the Robert Shabukis of our time. Men of such extraordinary, they were extraordinary, not simple but extraordinary, not ordinary. Extraordinary courage, they had kind of extraordinary courage, wisdom, knowledge, and generosity, kindness, that their like may never be known again. This kind of men will not be seen again. So there are two lines. These are some prominent names in the struggle against apartheid. So they were the nationalists, right? They are the leaders. For the use of this definite article with proper nouns, see exercise second on page 25. So you can see that exercise, or you can search about these leaders. Okay, so now perhaps, possibly, it requires such depths of oppression to create such heights of character. Means, if you are oppressed, then only the best will come. Means, if you suffer, right? If you suffer, the best will come. According to the author, perhaps, possibly, it needs such depths of oppression. Means, they were oppressed so badly that such kind of characters, right, came into being. Character means kind of qualities like courage, wisdom, generosity, and they were also the, means, first and foremost is courageous. So my country is rich in the minerals. So South Africa is kind of is the hub of minerals, like also Odisha. It is full of minerals. So South Africa is also full of minerals and gems, right? Gems, valuable materials, right? Gems that lie beneath its soil. So underneath the soil. But I have always known that its greatest wealth is its people. I means Nelson Mandela, he has always known that the greatest wealth is its people, finer and truer than the purest diamond. So in South Africa the diamonds, this is the actual source of diamonds is the South Africa, right? And so you will get the diamonds there actually, the ample stock. So, but Nelson Mandela thought that the greatest wealth is its people, and they are finer, comparatively finer, finest, and truer, truest. So they are finer, not fine, finer, और भी अच्छा, and truer, right? It is from these comrades in the struggle that I have learned the meanings of courage. It is from these comrades, comrades mean leaders, okay, or friends, right? So leaders actually, it's like those Oliver Tambo's and Walter Sisula's, Chip Litula's, okay, so and Zabuki, so etc. So from them, this Nelson Mandela learned the meaning of courage. Time and again, I have seen men and women risk and give their lives for an idea. Time and again means continuously. I have seen. Who has seen? Nelson Mandela has seen men and women risk. Okay, they took risk and give their lives for an idea, for a kind of idea. Right? So right now also you see sometimes some parties are they are attached to kind of particular ideas and they want to establish their idea. I have seen men stand up to attacks and torture without breaking, showing a strength and resilience that defies the imagination. Right? I have seen men stand up to attacks means they protested to attacks and torture, oppression without breaking means without just means without what means they were not just accepting them without any protest. They are protesting, that's why without breaking, they're showing a strength, power and resilience, resistance that defies the imagination, that challenge the imagination means you can't imagine. I learned that courage was not the absence of fear. So Nelson Mandela learned from their activities that what courage was not the absence of fear but the triumph over it. So courage means not the absence of fear but the triumph over it, to overcome, right, to overcome your fear. वो एक बात है ना, डर का आगे जीत है, सो ही बात इधर भी है. Courage was not the absence of fear but the triumph over it. The brave man is not who does not feel afraid but he who conquers that fear. Yes, you might have fear but you must not retreat, it means go back, but you have to face, you have to resist, you have to give back, fight back, and you have to overcome. Only then you will be called a brave man. If you retreat, if you move back, then you will not be called a brave man. Yes, you might have fear, but you have to face that and you have to fight back and you have to overcome it. No one is born hating another person because of the color of the skin. So by birth no one hates other persons because of the color difference on his background, on his or his religion, so or his background or his religion. So no one hates others for his skin color, for his background, for his what religion, but These are man-made, artificial. People must learn to hate, yes, right? The religious gurus, they teach the disciples right now, you know that. So these are different. So we must not mingle with them. That's the things. But means everyone is learned this thing from others. So they must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. So if you can learn to hate, you can be taught to love. And love is the supreme thing, because for love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposites, and love comes naturally to human heart than the opposite means that hatred. Suppose if it takes 2 days to teach you how to hate others, it will take only 1 day or 1 hour rather to teach you how to love others, right? Because it is a natural thing. Even in the grimmest times in prison, grimmest means the worst time, the terrible time in prison, in the jail, when my comrades and I were pushed to our limits. My comrades, my leaders, and I were pushed to limits, means pushed to the last point of our ability to bear pain, means they were tortured severely. So when I means my comrades and I were pushed to the limits, our limits, I would see a glimmer of humanity. Glimmer means kind of just a glimpse of humanity, kindness in one of the guards, those who are torturing. But Mandela was kind of a glimpse of humanity, kindness in the mind of, in the character of the guards. Perhaps just for a second, but it was enough to reassure me and keep me going. It was enough to reassure me, to pursued me, okay, to make me certain, to so that means tell me and to inspire me rather, to keep me going. Man's goodness is a flame that can be hidden but never extinguished. Man's goodness, kindness, right? That love, kindness, goodness is a flame, like a flame of a candle, right? But the flame that blaze, the flame of star, actually, you can say, that can be hidden but never extinguished. Yes, the flame of the stars. It can be hidden by the clouds for some time, but you cannot extinguish. So the man's goodness, it is kind of flame that can be hidden, yes, that can be suppressed for some time, but you cannot extinguish, you cannot stop, you cannot destroy it, right? So actually Nelson Mandela, right, is talking about the love, right, giving more importance to love over cruelty, inhuman attitude. And so indirectly he was saying that he was in favor of these things, and he wanted to establish all these things, he wanted to inject all these things in his government, right? Thank you. We will continue again.